Hello everybody, December 48 here, and welcome back to another Whovian Wednesday, where we dive into Doctor Who seasons at a time. We pick it up in season 2, but before we get into that, I'd like to talk about a few things that I mentioned in the first episode of this, the first video of my Doctor Who experience. The first couple of things that I feel like were picked up as insults of season 1 were merely observations. My only viewing of Doctor Who before doing this series on YouTube was modern Doctor Who, the stuff starting with Christopher Eccleston. So I had a lot of preconceived notions of what I thought the original series would include, which includes things that are heavily mentioned, including in things when they mention previous Doctors. Gallifrey, the Sonic screwdriver, and the fact that the Doctor has 2 hearts and is a Time Lord. I wasn't pointing out that those things weren't mentioned in Season 1 as this is why Season 1 is bad. It was more of a curiosity thing for those who also have not gone back and watched all of the originals or any of the originals, like myself. That's point number 1. I'd like to make that clear. That was not why I thought season 1 was bad. There was plenty of other reasons that I did outline. Point number 2 is I was informed in the comment section that the original Doctor Who was an educational program, not an entertainment program. Now, while that's new information to me, I did not know that. The show now is an entertainment program. And if I'm going to go back and rate something, I'm going to rate it on entertainment value, because I'm not a professional educator. And I have no qualification to rank anything on its educational value. Nobody really needs a professional education or a qualification to grade something on entertainment. It's whether or not you yourself was entertained. Entertainment's a very opinionated field. Education is facts. I couldn't tell you what the heck this thing's educating you for, because it doesn't teach you anything other than potentially how to be a good person. Maybe giving you morals and values. It's not teaching you anything. Unless educational programming was different in Britain in the 1960s than America in the early 2000s, where it actually tried to teach you something, this doesn't teach you anything. It doesn't teach you science. It's sci-fi. That's what I would think it would teach you. It doesn't teach you that. Maybe it vaguely teaches you history at times. Vaguely. The fact that Aztecs exist. Other than that, it's not teaching you much. So, if its intention was to be educational, well, I don't see how they did well in that. Someone who understands the educational goal of this show could tell me in the comments. That'd be helpful. But this me rating Doctor Who, is purely on an entertainment basis. And the third point is William Hartnell. I do not enjoy him as a Doctor. I understand that he probably had a successful acting career prior to Doctor Who, and the fact that his dementia or whatnot, whatever the mental lack of ability to remember things is for him, the fact that it impacted his ability to act in the show is unfortunate. If he could have gotten cast years earlier and the show started, say, in the 1950s, maybe I would have enjoyed his performance a little bit better. But I'm not going to rate somebody's acting in this show based on their career prior to the show. That, to me, I don't really care if he was a good actor or not before. He could have been an awful actor before. He could have been the best actor in the world prior to doing Doctor Who. I don't enjoy him as a Doctor. That didn't change in season 2 either. It didn't get any better for me. I still think Ian and Barbara were my top characters throughout the whole thing, which they did leave towards the end of season 2, but got them for most of it. By far the best characters in the show. Their banter back and forth works really well, and they are the ones that solve like 90% of the problems. There's also just the problem that there's episodes, and not necessarily episodes, but like large lengths of times within episodes that the Doctor's just gone. And I get it. I get why, right? I get that they're trying to avoid William Hartnell being mind blocked. But it's a show called Doctor Who. The Doctor can't be missing. That's just... it's strange. I will say, positives in season 2. The quality looked a little bit better. I don't know if I was just insane, but it looked like a higher quality of black and white. Don't know if that's even a thing, but it looked a little bit better quality. In terms of the sci-fi, it's still rough. It's early 1960s, well, mid 1960s. The sci-fi graphics aren't going to be good. That's fine. They seemed a little less lazy with the editing. There was no scenes starting too early. That seemed to get cleaned up in this season. That's great. It seemed a little bit more plot driven than dialogue driven, which is a big plus for me. Season 1 just dragged so much because there was so much dialogue that didn't lead anywhere. This one felt like it had more plot. I will say most of this season I still didn't enjoy. It was not until the very end, really, the last 2 arcs, that this got really good. Where was it? It was the Dalek arc and the Time Meddler arcs. That were, honestly, the Dalek arc at the end of the season was incredible. It was by far the best arc of the first 2 seasons, and actually entertaining and stressful and fun. I really liked it. It played on what you could do at the time. Well, the only negative of that whole arc for me was when they created a robot of the Doctor and didn't use the same actor. They just didn't use William Hartnell for some of the scenes, not all of the scenes. And I get it. When the Doctor and the robot are meant to be in the same scene, I get why they had to use a different actor. That I understand. It's 1960s, you can't CGI anything. Green screen capabilities aren't there, or not existent. I get that. But there were scenes where the Doctor was not in that they didn't use William Hartnell. And they would have speaking lines, and they would dub it over afterwards, and it just looked bad. And I know it had to look bad at the time. It couldn't have looked good. That was disappointing. Everything else about that arc was awesome. I think that's all of the general notes that I have for this season, and kind of laying off of what happened in my video for last season. So let's get in to this one. There were a few episodes missing again. We'll get to those when we get to them. Episode 1, Planet of the Giants. Seems like, okay, I did have a note. Seems like a higher quality of black and white in this season. Kind of noticed it right away. It just seemed crisper. Giant bugs, they are back on Earth, but each the size of an inch. Episode 2, Dangerous Journey. The Doctor and Susan in a sink pipe, and the sink is in use. Episode 3, Crisis. Barbara is ill from insecticide. They solve a murder and corruption plot and heal Barbara. Episode 4, World's End. Earth, London. This is a great quote from that episode from the Doctor. What you need is a jolly good smack bottom. If that doesn't scream 1960s grandpa, I don't know what does. The year is 2164, and Daleks are invading Earth and have control of some humans. Now, I do find it interesting that we got 2 Dalek arcs within one season. I wasn't expecting that. Granted, this has like 39 episodes in it, so there's definitely time for it. And in a sci-fi show where they don't have the best costumes or best ability to make costumes, when you got a cool robot, you might as well use it. Episode 5, The Daleks. The Doctor and Ian are captured. Barbara and Susan are with rebels. Daleks are creating the original Cybermen called Robomen. Rebels launch an attack. Episode 6, Day of Reckoning. The attack failed pretty badly. Surviving rebels split up. Episode 7, The End of Tomorrow. Barbara is out of London. Ian is at a work camp and in immediate danger. The Doctor and Susan are still in London. Episode 8, The Walking Ally. The Doctor accepts killing humans or aliens as a means to an end. Daleks capture Barbara. Ian hides in a capsule the Daleks want to use to take driving controls of Earth. They wanted to send it down to the core and be able to pilot Earth. Episode 9, Flashpoint. Ian disables the capsule while it's going down the mine shaft. Ian then falls down the mine shaft. The capsule is an explosive. Seem to just want to destroy the Earth, not actually drive it. I don't know why they said that in the previous episode. Maybe this was one of the ones where they had different writers for different episodes and they just changed their mind. The Doctor gets the Robomen to turn on the Daleks, and Ian blocks the explosive, causing it to explode in the wrong spot. The explosive destroys many Daleks and their base, causing them to leave Earth. The Doctor leaves Susan behind to marry the man she fell in love with. I do find it interesting how fast that happened. 1960s love plots are hilariously quick. It's, I met you, I talked to you about for 2 seconds, bang, we're done. I'm staying here. This is my time now. Episode 10, The Powerful Enemy. The TARDIS lands on Ditto, where an Earth spaceship has crash landed. They encounter a local. It pushes Barbara off a ledge. It then causes a cave-in, blocking in Ian and the Doctor. Barbara is found by crashed humans. Episode 11, Desperate Measures. Doctor and Ian reunite with Barbara at the spaceship. The year is 2493. Doctor catches one of the humans dressing up as the alien. They add Vicky to the crew, who was one of the humans. TARDIS leaves and lands on the edge of a cliff and falls off. Episode 12, The Slave Traders. Ancient Rome. Ian and Barbara captured by slave traders. A musician is killed and the Doctor takes the musician's place, heading to meet Nero, the killer sent after the musician again. Episode 13, All Roads Lead to Rome. The Doctor and Vicky fend off the killer, and the Doctor is so senile in this episode. The Doctor and Vicky meet Nero. Episode 14, Conspiracy. Ian is set to fight another slave, with Nero and Barbara watching. Ian loses, and Nero wants him to die. Episode 15, Inferno. Ian escapes, and Ian gets Barbara out as well. The Doctor and Vicky also make it out of Rome on the night Nero burns Rome. Episode 16, The Web Planet. A badly costumed insect planet, and Ian is caught in a net. Vicky accidentally moves the TARDIS. Barbara's gold bracelet is pulling her towards a pool of acid. Episode 17, The Zarbi. Ian is out of the net. The bugs move the TARDIS and take Barbara. She escapes. Doctor and Ian are captured, and Vicky leaves the TARDIS and is captured. Barbara is recaptured. The Doctor is presented with a translator. Episode 18, Escape to Danger. Ian is on his way to save Barbara. Episode 19, Crater of Needles. Barbara gets out before Ian gets to her, and he fell into the cave. Episode 20, Invasion. The invasion is going very badly. Episode 21, The Center. Ian and Barbara work with the local bug people to eliminate the leader and free the Doctor and Vicky. Episode 22 through 25 are missing, and they're respectively titled The Lion, The Knight of Jaffa, The Wheel of Fortune, and The Warlords. And this takes place during the Third Crusade, and they meet Richard the Lionheart and Saladin. Episode 26, The Space Museum. TARDIS visits a dead planet with a museum. They get a glimpse into the future of them as an exhibition in the museum. Episode 27, The Dimensions of Time. A youth rebel group captures the Doctor. He escapes. The Doctor is then captured by the museum security. Episode 28, The Search. Barbara and Vicky are with the rebels. Episode 29, The Final Phase. Ian is captured. Barbara and Vicky are also captured. The revolution succeeds and frees the whole TARDIS crew. The Daleks are tracking the TARDIS, and this is where the season gets good. Episode 30, The Chase. The Executioners land on basically Tatooine, a desert planet with two suns. Ian and Vicky explore the planet and are trapped by a tentacle thing. Barbara and the Doctor stay at the TARDIS and search for them when they don't return. The Daleks have arrived. Episode 31, The Death of Time. The Doctor and Barbara meet some locals. The Daleks begin attacking the locals. The locals then make a deal with the Daleks to hand over the Doctor and then capture Vicky. The trio escapes and finds Ian. They build a trap and trick a Dalek into it. Return to the TARDIS. Episode 32, Flight Through Eternity. The TARDIS arrives in New York City in 1966, but they take back off immediately and land on a ship at sea and leave immediately again. It was the Mary Celeste, a ship that is found deserted in 1872. When the Daleks arrived on board, everyone jumped overboard, and this was the best episode to this point. And I think honestly it was the best episode of the season. And the fact that I can point out a best episode of the season means this was definitely a better season than season 1. Episode 33, Journey into Terror. The next destination is a creepy house. The guys and girls split up to investigate, as you do when you're in a horror situation. The Ian and the Doctor find Frankenstein's monster. Barbara and Vicky find Count Dracula. The Daleks arrive and fight Frankenstein's monster and Dracula. Everyone else gets in the TARDIS and leaves without Vicky. Daleks flee from the House of Horrors. Also, it looked like without Vicky, but apparently she was in their ship. It was an amusement site in 1966, Ghana. Vicky had snuck on board the Dalek ship, and the Daleks create a robot Doctor. And he looks a bit off. TARDIS lands on a swamp planet, Mechanus. This is a great story arc. This is really what I've been waiting for with 1960s Doctor Who, if we're being realistic. Episode 34, The Death of Doctor Who. Ominous title. Less scary when you know there's more episodes in the season and like 50 more years of the show. The fake Doctor is pretty lame, honestly. This was a great arc. This ruins it a little bit. They finally use Hartnell as the fake Doctor in some of the scenes. Robot is with Barbara, and the real Doctor and Ian find Vicky. The Doctor then knocks out the robot. Episode 35, The Planet of Decision. Imprisoned by robots with one other human. The Mechans fight the Daleks. All 5 humans escape during the fight. After Vicky's persuasion, the Doctor shows Ian and Barbara how to use and destroy the Dalek time machine to return to their own time. Then he and Vicky escape in the TARDIS. And the end to the best arc yet. And we lose the best companions up to this date. They've been here since episode 1, and they make it into episode 35 of season 2. So over 60 episodes for these companions, and they're returned back to their time in London about 2 years after they were picked up. Pretty good considering the TARDIS doesn't know how to accurately tell where it's going. Episode 36, The Time Meddler. The Watcher. Other human prisoner made it onto the TARDIS before they left. TARDIS arrives in England during the 11th century, 1066. Someone is posing as a monk and messing with time. They have captured the Doctor. Episode 37, The Meddling Monk. Stephen and Vicky. Stephen is the other prisoner. I, for whatever reason, in the first 3 episodes that we had Stephen, I could not understand what they were saying for his name. So I was just writing the other prisoner. I finally got it. It's Stephen. They are captured by local Britons. They let them go, and the Vikings arrive. Vicky and Stephen go to break out the Doctor, but he is already gone. Episode 38, A Battle of Wits. The Doctor gives the monk another visit. 2 Vikings attack the monastery and capture the Doctor, but he escapes, knocking out one, and the monk knocks out the other. The Doctor captures the monk again. Vicky and Stephen discover the monk's TARDIS. Episode 39, Checkmate. The monk wanted to wipe out the Vikings. The locals discover the Viking in a local discovers a Viking in the monastery. The monk and the Doctor go in the monk's TARDIS. The Doctor, Vicky, and Stephen are tied up by Vikings. It is revealed the monk and the Doctor are from the same place, but that is yet to be named. Locals attack the monastery, freeing the Doctor, Vicky, and Stephen, and the Vikings are captured. The Doctor takes a piece of the monk's TARDIS, stranding him in 1066. The Doctor, Vicky, and Stephen return to their TARDIS and leave, ending Season 2, which is a better season than Season 1, and ends on a really high note. Our last 9 episodes of this season were good. I enjoyed them. The time meddling arc and the Dalek arc at the end were really good. And if we can continue with this quality into Season 3, I'll be very pleased. And it might put me at a better point with William Hartnell. As we only have one Doctor so far after 2 seasons, William Hartnell is still the top, the middle, and the bottom of my Doctors list. Let me know your thoughts about Season 2 of Doctor Who, or just Doctor Who in general, in the comments down below. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.